What's up, guys? It's Heartless Gamer. We're having our very first podcast episode. I decided to do this episode because I feel like it'd be really cool to document my journey into growing an eBay business, growing my YouTube channel in a gaming perspective, my aspect on coaching, what I learn every day, and topics around gaming, motivation, things to make people live better and live a better life. And I think everybody can always learn something from somebody. And I don't think your age is a determination on whether or not you should listen to somebody or not, because I think either if somebody's old or young, we all have different doors we've been through. And I think some people that are younger sometimes experience more adversity than people that are older because they come from different backgrounds and different perspectives and stuff like that. We all have something to learn from somebody. And I think that's what my big message with this podcast will be, with the future coming, is that we all can learn something from somebody. Now, let's just kind of do a rundown about myself in this first episode and go from where I'd like to see it go. Now, I attempted this a while ago, beginning of 2020, and I just didn't really stick with it. And I think opening up about that and talking about extreme ownership and being, own up to the mistakes you made, or even just the commitments that you didn't keep, but you want to work towards keeping. I recently read one book and reading another one, Atomic Habits, How to Build Habits. Very good book. And Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. And then the Atomic Habits was written by James Clear. Very good book, about 300 pages. I would definitely recommend that book, especially if you're trying to build a certain character within yourself to stay committed to something. I think that definitely is a good book in the sense that you really get to break down things for yourself and understand, like, hey, I have this big ambitious goal, but I need all these little baby steps in order to do it, right? Maybe I only need to spend 20 minutes a day in the gym to get to that where I can spend an hour in the gym. But those 20 minutes, I make that a habit. And then maybe each week I increase it by 1 minute or 4 minutes or 5 minutes to make it to where I'm in there an hour getting a hard workout and a hard grind. And then, it's the same thing with reps, like one more rep, it takes 1,000 reps to make and commit it to muscle memory. And the same thing, and that goes with weightlifting, right? You're not ever going to lift 250 pounds if you don't go for the first 245 or the 230 or in the weight. It takes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and sometimes even thousands of reps to get there. So and that book really kind of emphasizes that from that perspective. And the one I'm still reading, Extreme Ownership, it just talks about Navy SEAL named Jocko Willink, talking about his time in Ramadi and how his leadership in the Navy SEALs translates to business and really any day life, if you take it from your perspective of things, and those are two very good books. I recently started reading more this year. That was kind of a goal that I had this year, was to read more or just listen to books in general. I listened to, The Third Door. That was by Alex Benayan. Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Simon Sinek's Start With Why. Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. Those were just some of the books that I've listened to this year, let alone I've read to, which, that's something I've never really got into doing, was reading a book and sitting down. But while I was away on a vacation, I guess that's what you would call it. I really call it more like a mental relaxation period where I kind of gather some thoughts and ideas of where I want to go in my next 6 months or my next year from that perspective. But that was just something that kind of came to mind, is just always learning. And you have to change your habits sometimes to learn, and sometimes the hardest things in life teach you that. And I know something, like I said, reflecting back on this year, I never really read books. I never really listened to books. I listened to a lot more podcasts this year, less music in the car kind of thing. Because I always think we can learn something from somebody, no matter who they are. or what they've come from. Because in reality, we all, yeah, somebody might look similar on paper, but you don't know their experiences it took them to get there. You know, and there will be times where I might bring up controversial topics like, do you really need college and something like that? Like, that's something that's kind of controversial. When you ask certain people, they say yes and no. I mean, it really depends, right? So topics like that we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about in this podcast series about my business. I started an eBay business last year with, around like 600 bucks. I was working Grubhub and DoorDash. I was saving the little extra money I had. I was going to Goodwill stores, Goodwill outlets. I kind of started there, and then I moved to yard sales and Facebook Marketplace. And now I'm still on Facebook Marketplace. I still go to Goodwill, like I still go to all those places, but now I'm getting into like pallets and stuff like that, and trying to buy out of those and stuff like that. You just got to find the right connections and selling on not just one platform but multiple platforms. I'm starting to open up about other opportunities with going to like Amazon FBA, drop shipping with Spotify, Shopify, stuff like that. And then I'm also building my gaming YouTube channel that I've always dreamed about since I was 10 years old to build. Ever since I had Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and I was watching NoJ456, Nero Cinema, all those guys. I don't know when they came around to be, but I just remember being younger, that 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old range, and remembering like, damn, this would be cool. And then I would say one of my favorite YouTubers is definitely Mr. Beast by far, just because not just because of his giveaways, but just the kind of person he is and kind of how he started. And it's definitely inspiring to kind of want to build the channel around that. So just those things and aspects are like those are the things that you dream for. And there's a certain saying that kind of goes like, if you go tell a random person your dreams and ambitions, they should raise their eyebrow, and when they walk away, they should call you crazy. And they should call you crazy not because you're a psychotic or something like that, but because they think you're crazy and they don't believe in you, and that's why you're crazy. Right? That's what you want to do at the end of the day, right? You want someone to think that you're crazy because your ambitions and goals are so big. They're bigger than yourself. And at the end of the day, you want goals and ambitions bigger than yourself because, the problem in life, people set their goals so low that they hit them. And when they don't experience adversity, they don't grow. You don't learn if you don't face adversity. Prime example, like if you say that you want to start a Fortune 500 company, you want to be worth $10 million. Yeah, it's easy to say it. It's harder to do it, right? You don't know the adversity or what it's going to take you to get there. I didn't think I would have 2,100 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, I've been at it on and off here for, God, 5 years now, 6 years now. But even still, like I never thought I'd get to 1,000, let alone 2,100. I went from, I think, like 800 to 1,000 the beginning of this year to 20, just shy of 2125 or something like that. 2,125 subscribers, something to date today on December 27th, 2020. So, just kind of like that. You never know where you want to be, and one of my goals was to be at 1,000 subscribers. And now around May 24th, 2020, I still have it hanging on my wall. I printed out my milestone when I hit 1,300 subscribers, and I drew 3 extra zeros at the end of it, saying that I want 1.3 million subscribers. Because like that's my next goal, right? Like my next goal is to hit 1.3 million subscribers. Will that take me a year? Will that take me 2 years? Will that take me 3 years? I don't really know, but I know this: it's the effort that you put in, and the hard work will create the result that you want. I think oftentimes that this isn't even taught in school, is that like uh, you don't that school doesn't teach you how to work hard and have that kind of work ethic. It's the individual person that learns it through the adversity that they face, and they find something that drives them to want to do better in themselves, right? And that, I think that's my biggest thing. I know for me, is the environment that I came in and was raised in, and the experiences that I have are shaping who I am and what I want to be and what I want to do with the experience I had, right? Like most of the, like if I was I'll get into this later in a different episode, but if you take my experiences that I've faced, I could have went a totally different route. And I think a lot of people could go different routes with the experience that I have. But I think there's just some kind of drive within you, the internal self, that tells you that, hey, you need to you need to learn from these experiences and move on, and you got to find the right people in life to help you guide you through that, right? So that's just kind of like that perspective of some of the things that we might talk about, and kind of who I am, right? Um, and always, like, I want to know from other people their experiences and what they think on certain topics that we talk about, right? And then stepping away from business and the motivational aspect. But like I said, I was passionate about gaming. Like, we're gonna turn this into a gaming podcast too. Like, it's gonna be a little bit of everything here. Now, whether it be one episode where it's more than another, yeah, that's gonna happen, right? Maybe there's a time where it gets pretty big, where there's 2,500 active listeners a week, and 14 of those 100 are just here for the gaming aspect of it, and the other 1,500 or whatever it might be are here for the motivational piece and want to know what I have to say about a certain topic in motivation, or a quote or a feeling. And maybe we make two separate podcast channels, or maybe we just two separate series within the channel where we do that. That's where I'd like to go, right? But that's, again, we talked about that earlier in the podcast. I wasn't committed this year, but one of my goals going into 2021 is to be more committed to those things that I want to do, the things that I want to achieve. I want to be a better coach, right? I want to be a millionaire by 26. I put this in my phone on and took a screenshot of my goals, like what I want to do, right? I want to be worth $10 million by 26. I want to have 25,000 followers on Twitch, 250,000 followers, or 250,000 followers on TikTok, and 250,000 subscribers on YouTube, right? Like, and that's by like net. I don't even know, like, I don't even have a date, but like, that's just what I want, right? Like, that's my next goal. Now, I would love, like we said earlier, 1.3 million. Yeah, I just want, you don't want to get into the numbers so much with followers and stuff like that, because then you get really confused with that and get disappointed. But they set metrics and goals and stuff like that for you to drive to want to get that number. You see that number, right? And at the end of the day, that just means that there are more people that like my content, and just keeps me wanting to create more for them, right? Because that just tells me that, hey, my content's pretty good because I have people listening to it or watching it. So I just got to make more for them to stay here, because they like it, right? And I think one of the biggest things is, and this is what, not my goals list, this is my M list, right? I am, right, what I want to do. I want to run 10 miles consistently. I want to finish the police academy. I want to go to the police academy and finish it, I should say, right? Because I've never done that. I've been through the fire academy, right? I've done that. That was fun. I loved it. I still do it to this day, and I want to be the best version of a football coach that I can be, right? Like, those things, that's who I am. That's what I am. That's my I am list, right? That's my own list. Like, people have their goals list and stuff like that, and everybody's like, you listen to one person, they say, oh, don't have a goals list, have a to-do list, right? Stuff like that. For me, I call it my I am list, right? I am going to get this. I am going to get that. I am a firefighter, right? I am a gamer. I am a podcaster. I am, I am a coach, right? So those things, like, that's my I am list, right? I am going to get this, right? It's an affirmation to yourself, telling you, hey, this is who I am, and I will become this, right? Like, if you tell yourself you're wealthy, you'll become wealthy, right? If you tell yourself you're poor, you're always going to be poor, right? And yeah, you're saying that to yourself, but at the end of the day, yeah, you do need more than just saying I am. You need to take action, right? Taking action is one of the biggest things in that, right? You can't just talk your way through things. You have to show some kind of level of commitment, drive, and grit, right? That constant persistence of not giving up and trying over and over and over again, right? Elon Musk was doing I guess it was a 60-minute video about how he almost had three failures in a row, and had $100 million left to split between two companies. And he said, look, I'd rather put everything into those companies than give up, right? Because that's all I had left. But that's the sacrifice you have to make to be great. There's average, and then there's great. There's really nothing in between. You're either just average, or like everybody else, with everybody else's crappy lives, right? Working their 9 to 5, not liking what they're doing, which is a shame, right? It's like something like 75% of the world doesn't like what they're doing, which to me that's not great to have, right? You should love and wake up every single day wanting to get better and doing what you want to do, right? Uh, so like that's kind of the drive that I take, right? And I think people grow the most when they have that adversity. I talked about that before. Um, so, with that being said, uh, you know, the current time we're in and stuff like that, we don't know what's going to happen. And I think the greatest thing sometimes happens from the worst of times. There's a quote that Walt Disney said. He said, "I've heard there's going to be a recession, but I decided not to participate in it." Right? With COVID going on right now, something like that could happen. With COVID going on right now, businesses have had to learn and adapt. Right? That's if you don't, you're a dinosaur and you're not going to grow and get better. Right? You just need to get one little tiny inch better every day. Right? Football is a game of inches. Right? But every inch counts, right? You can't take a 5-inch step. You need to take that 6-inch step, right? So those little minute details make a difference, right? The getting out of the bed every single day to keep your circadian rhythm in check every day is very important, right? Some people get up at 5, some people get up at 4, some people get up at 3:30, right? You got to find what works best for you. But at the end of the day, you got to stick with that, right? And I know, like me personally, there are some things that I haven't stuck with, but I want to now, right? Like I want that. I'm trying to find time for that, right? And I don't think it's the question I don't have time. I just don't know how to manage my time better so I can do the things that I want to do. But that's an everyday learning thing, right? Like I said, I'm only 21, right? So I'm always learning, right? And I don't think you ever stop learning. You should never stop learning because the moment you stop learning, you're just going to die, right? Just think about that. Like the moment you stop learning, you're dead. You died, right? Like you physically might be alive and breathing, but your growth and knowledge, you're dying inside, and you don't want to do that. I think it was Les Brown said most people die at the age of 30, but end up in the graveyard at age like 70. I think that's true because I think at some point in your life, somebody told you that you couldn't do something or be something, and you just listened to them. And you can't listen to those people, right? Those people could be your family, they could be your parents, they could be your brother and sister, right? They could be your closest friends, and then in that case, you probably should rethink your friends because at the end of the day, your true friends they're gonna support you. But again, maybe they just don't believe in it yet, and they just need a little bit more time to believe. So that could be the case too. But those little things are what shapes who you are. Um, and I probably should have said this at the beginning of the episode here. The structure, some of these are going to be just voiceovers with some like gaming content that I produced out. Some of them might end up being just me face to face with the mic, the headset, and the computer, and we're going to go at it with some topics, so it's just going to kind of depend. And as we grow, we're going to move on. Hopefully we'll have some people in here talking about some topics and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. But that being said, guys, I think this is going to wrap up our first episode of the podcast. I want to thank you guys so much for listening to this. And if you made it this far, thank you so much. It means a lot to me that you've made it this far into the podcast, right? My other social media accounts, TikTok, right? Go follow that. I'm going to try and start taking clips of the podcast and posting that in there. My YouTube channel, that's going to be uploading with this. I use Anchor, so Anchor kind of disperses it. I think like Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, a bunch of other places. So, this will be across multiple platforms to listen to. And I really hope that you guys listen to this because honestly, it means the world to me, guys. And I want to thank you so much for listening and tuning in, guys. It means the world to me. If I could just say one thing, if I could just change and impact 10 people, that's all. That would be great because then what happens is it's a compounding effect. Those 10 people will go change 10 people, and then I just changed 100 people. And then the same thing happens again. Those same 100 people impact 10 people. I just changed 10,000 people's lives, right? That's just how I see it. It's small, minute steps is what makes the big things happen, guys. So again, thank you for listening and tuning in, guys. I'm out of here. Thank you again. Bye.